We reconvene the meeting at 8:33.
Okay. As I was mentioning, that they've included all the betterments that the town requested. Looking at my highlighted areas, if you go down to page 2, at the very bottom, number 5, where it says, in the event the town desires to revise the project plans subsequent to final plan approval, but prior to initiation of construction activities, SHA shall review design change information, including estimated costs. So before they actually break ground or put a shovel in the ground, if there are design issues or concerns that the town does have, we still have the ability to submit them to SHA for review. Not saying that they'll take it, but at least we have that ability.
I have a question. I had some couple residents ask me how they're going to address the sidewalk heights that are on East Main Street. You know how it jumps up.
Right. Ms. Sipperly's more familiar with that as far as how the sidewalks are going to be addressed. I don't know the answer to that, but I certainly will look into it.
Okay.
What particular area are they concerned about?
I think it's on the it used to be Radio Shack, but I can't think of the Granny's side. Granny's
Okay, Granny's Attic.
on that side. If you took, it's all like jumps up a foot or two. The sidewalk does on the sides before it gets to the houses.
Oh, it's like a miniature retaining wall related to
Yeah,
the
and
foundation of the house.
Okay. They was wondering how they were going to address that when they took the sidewalks out. If they're going to leave that there or take it out completely and redo something else. They did. I
Right.
just had a couple of the residents who live there ask me about that.
I'll get with Sue and we'll get the answer.
Okay.
Then if you move to page 3, you see that both parties, the town and SHA, have 10 days to respond to any complaints or concerns, 10 working days. So that would give us 2 weeks to respond, and as well, SHA has 2 weeks to respond. Number 4, page 4, the exhibit is attached. That's the map that's attached. I don't know if everybody has that. I think it was in your original packet. I didn't send it to copies.
Okay.
But Exhibit A, construction phase.
You want to look at that, Tim? I'll just hand
If you have a single copy,
I
we'd
do.
love to look at that. I think that'd be pretty good.
There you go.
I'll just pass this along if anyone else wants to look at it, or we just crowd down here, or however you want to look at that. Okay, so Ms. Willetts, you've highlighted Exhibit A and the sidewalks there on the square.
Right.
Okay, and the highlighted areas represent modifications to the existing shape, or why is it highlighted? I guess that's the simplest question.
It's actually Miss Sipperly's copy. I'm not sure why she has it highlighted. Is it all the sidewalks?
No, it's just part of them in the square area up to what looks like the Vigilant Hose Company. I'm not sure. I didn't really get a.
Let me look up when you get back. After you look at Tim, let me look at.
That's South Seaton, that's North Seaton. Bank. Firehouse, no. Yeah, Firehouse.
Maybe they're moving the sidewalk back.
I
It could
think so, but-
potentially be, if it's just that small area, it's the area that relates to the actual square itself. And brick is only going out so far on the sidewalk. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
I need to look at it
Right.
real quick. Let me take a gander.
I have a question about the brick sidewalk.
Sure.
I've been in
This is what it is.
going through and helping to fix New Market's sidewalks. They're going through the same process we're getting ready to go through. And I forgot to bring them cards to you, but I have them at my house. Tony Town went through it a couple years back. They've been having big problems with having to come back and fix everything 2 or 3 different times. The bricks that they put down, I hope they don't do it the same way as they did in New Market. They seem to be loose, and they're only putting tar underneath. I don't know if they're cementing them in, or maybe we can think about putting stamped brick in and not real brick. It looks like real brick, but it's actually stamped concrete, which will not move. That's an option too. But brick sidewalks, I mean, it looks just like it, but they're having a big problem with it in New Market. If you want to go down, if anybody wants to take a trip down there now, you can just walk through the little town, just park along the side of the road and walk.
So that
And
work
you'll
is
see what you mean, you know.
repair work that's going on
They
there.
have replaced all their sidewalks and curbs and everything, just like we're getting ready to do.
Okay, but you were saying that like I was there 2 weeks ago, and it appears as if people were working on the sidewalks then.
Right.
So that's not the original work, this is repair to the
This
original work, is that
right?
right?
They got a grant, and their state's redoing theirs too.
Okay,
And the state man told me the inspector told me he hopes to be coming up here for the next project for that. But I just want us to make sure we keep an eye on them, make eye on everything, because everything, it seems to be that I talked to the town clerk and the mayor she gave me the mayor's card and the planners, whoever's the head of the streets planning or whatever it is, gave me their card, and I have to give them to Kathy yet.
Great.
So they can contact them, the town, and get their opinion on what to do to make it better for us, so we don't go through the same problems they went through. And I think she said she's being in contact with Tony Town.
Right, we
to-
have met with Tawny Town on several
and maybe
occasions.
just talking with them, before they get ready to do all of ours, we can make sure we don't have any problems like they've been having there. And they're in some lawsuits and stuff now, from what I understand.
really?
So down there, yeah, that's what the clerk told me.
Between the
town clerk.
municipality and the state highway?
Between and the residents itself, in front of
kidding.
their houses and stuff.
Oh dear, okay.
So,
Huh.
but so we don't have anything like that, so, you know, it's best to talk to them and see what, you know, we could do.
Sure.
We might not have the extensive work that they have to do, because all of ours is just being replaced in the same spot they'll be put in now. But they put all brick sidewalks down the whole way,
That's what you're saying.
most of the way in the main town, and then on the outskirts of the town, like ours is concrete.
Right.
But and I walked across it. I've been walking back and forth for the last 2 weeks through the town, which we're finished now. And the bricks are all loose. They only put a little bit of tar underneath to hold them. There was no cement. They're going back and pouring some kind of sand mix in, trying to get in between it, but I don't know how they're going to do that.
Like
But I,
combined it in.
you know, it's really fine, whatever it is. I don't know what kind it is, but I walked. Most of the bricks are loose when you walk across them, and they'll be in the winter time with water getting down and freezing and then popping up. So we might want to look into maybe stamped bricks, so we don't have
And
that
that could
problem.
possibly be a different construction company that won the bid.
Yes, it could. It
So-
probably is.
That real quick, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, that was Concrete General, from what I
This
understand.
is that refers to easements.
Yes, it could be
The
them.
yellow-
But
yellow.
I just wanted to bring this up just so in case we do not have the same kind of problems they do. Yeah, to be cautious, and somebody keep a good eye. Sue and
Okay.
Kathy can keep a good
Well,
eye
there,
on
and I'll talk, it's coming up on another item, but the exhibit that I was just speaking of, the highlighted areas are the easements that we will give to SHA so that they can, or controlled right away for construction, maintenance, and their operation of the traffic signals. That's what actually those highlighted areas are. The town shall allow SHA to install, maintain roadway signs on town-owned or controlled right-of-way for operation of state roadways. During the construction phase, I'd point out number 2. In the event that revisions to the project are required in SHA's sole judgment due to conditions encountered during construction, and said revisions will affect the cost of the betterment. So your betterments are what the town has requested them to do in addition and outside of the project. Shall seek town concurrence to said changes and any related change orders unless the changes must be made immediately and in case of emergency. So the SHA's district engineer has the say over what constitute an emergency, and that's Mark Crampton. And they still have to notify the town. SHA will obtain all necessary permits for the project. SHA shall coordinate all utility relocations for the project. SHA shall provide the town with a copy of the apparent low bid, which shall identify items associated with construction of the betterments. So once we receive the bid, whichever bid they do go with, which is about January, then we will have a better idea of exactly how much these betterments will cost, because right now we're just provided with an estimate. The town will reimburse SHA for all costs incurred for the construction of the betterments. That's that budget sheet of the $293,403.58 is the town's responsibility, which is the betterments.
Okay.
That includes a 14.4% construction additive and 8.22% construction overhead. In the event the town desires to make revisions to the project during construction, it shall promptly be submitted a writing in request to SHA for SHA approval, including the requested revisions and their estimated costs. The town agrees that any additional costs incurred by SHA to implement the revisions requested by the town shall be the sole responsibility of the town. So if we want to make changes to the betterments or anything during the project, that will fall on the town's responsibility to pay for. Number 3 is where I point out, and at its option and expense, the town may provide an inspector during construction of the betterments. So we could hire, on a contractual basis, an inspector who would then act on behalf of the town for the betterments, which would be our water line, our clock, our brick, that they would oversee that then.
How about the, when they replace the the sidewalks and stuff, what about the water services and the sewer services in the sidewalks? They're having a problem with them too down there.
Now, see, that's not considered a betterment.
So are they responsible for that?
They are responsible for that.
Oh, okay, because down there they had to do it 3 times.
Now, I will tell you that our Public Works Department will be very active. They're already going to be very active with the bridge, making sure our water lines and sewer lines are not damaged in any way. So we will have those parties very active. Ms. Sipperly will be active. This is just an option to consider. By the time your betterments come around, you're going to be in your next fiscal year. If you decide you want to contract an inspector, we would have to put that into the budget, but it is an option.
Do we have an estimation as to how much it would cost to have a inspector?
I will look into it.
Okay, if we could get a ballpark figure, that would be appreciated. And this would relate to the duration of the project, I would imagine, so we need to maybe understand
Right.
what the timeline would be for
It would
that.
be for the just the construction of the betterment. So, and most of our betterments are square related and water lines. So once however the timeline goes, which we don't know where they're going to start and where they're going to finish, but they wouldn't be needed during the sidewalk phase outside of the square.
Okay.
So, but I will start working on that and see what I can come up with.
Okay.
Are we, besides the clock and stuff, are we putting a fountain in? Was that brought up? Is the fountain going on the square?
No fountain.
No fountain?
Okay.
I didn't hear anything else about it.
Yeah.
I know it was brought up at the first presentation.
During the design phase, SHA shall.
Back up for a second.
Yep,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Okay, just bringing this back to the board, though, related to an inspector. I've made the request, but I want to make sure the board's on board with that. Are we comfortable with the request to have a town staff investigate the cost of an inspector? Is that, I mean, just to have her spend the time to get the cost?
Yes.
Is that okay, Mr.
Yeah,
Sweeney?
they have
Okay.
one down there who just was doing the sidewalks and the bricks and stuff like that.
Mr. Blanchard, you okay with that? Okay, all right. So I didn't want to do this alone
I
and
don't
say
know how
no.
much, maybe
Okay.
they would know how much it costs too, you just call them and ask.
But if their brick is falling out, I don't know that I want that inspector.
Good point.
That's true.
Might want somebody different. But I'll definitely work on that.
Sure.
And if we move down to design phase funding, SHA is responsible for all costs associated with the design. Right-of-way funding. Construction phase funding. SHA will provide a periodic invoice to the town for all costs incurred by SHA to construct the betterments. The cost to construct the betterments is estimated to be $293,404. So that's their estimate of all the betterments, what it will cost. That's page 6. What they're estimating that it'll cost. And like I said, once they put the bid out and the bid comes back and they accept it, then we will have a final number of what our betterments will actually cost. So by approving this MOU, you're basically saying, I understand this is the estimated cost, but we're not locked in. We have 30 days to pay the invoice once it's received. The town shall own and maintain all the betterments. So the clock, your landscaping, your brick sidewalk. But the SHA, and if I'll go further down, SHA shall own and maintain the SHA-approved roadway marking beyond the crosswalks, which is your circle in the center of town square. They will maintain that. I know, circle in the square, right?
Are we going to do that? Is that a design element we are including?
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes, sir.
the water line that's going to be replaced from the square up towards North Seaton. Mm-hmm. Are we going to put any water services off of there for we're having a lot of shrubberies and stuff on the square. It'd be nice to have some kind of water hookup.
Well, there is. There'll be a water source to one of the planter boxes with a faucet, and that will be our cost as well.
Okay. That'd be part of the betterments?
Yes.
Just curiously, will that be boxed and locked?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Yes,
that'd
that's
be
already
great.
been
Okay.
discussion.
Yeah,
It will probably be turned off in the winter months anyway, but it will be locked.
and appropriately armored from our
Yes.
enthusiastic purveyors of.
I agree.
Never mind. Okay.
So they will maintain the circle in the
Blanchard
center of town. We maintain the sidewalks. And those were the only highlighted areas I had for the MOU.
Mr. President?
Mr. Briggs, yes, sir.
Okay. I think there's $293,000 listed in there as our obligation. I thought I heard from the Mr. Gentile that is the top number that would be.
Okay.
And one question you might want to ask is where is the $293,000 coming from?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And I
That's
know
what-
you're getting there. So we have we put aside about $113,000 right now.
Okay.
$65,000 to $70,000 on top of that is for that sewer line, to dig that and the sewer line. That comes from another fund, so we're up to about that's about 283, and we've applied. 183.
178, 113 and 65?
No, 80.
It's probably a little bit more than that. 65.
What he said, 80.
The 65 they push it up 15%. I think 30%. How much, Kathy?
It's about 14.4% and
Okay.
8.22, so what's that, 23?
Yeah, the actual cost, but we have that money set aside on another. Go ahead.
I hate to interrupt you. Okay, we have $113,000 we've already budgeted for the square. That's in place.
Put aside.
We have 65, did I mishear that?
I'm going
65
to
for
say
the sewer line?
65 for that. That's
Okay.
in there, maybe.
So that brings us to $178,000.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
And then
And then from there,
we have we're going for the community legacy grant. Chime in. Shoot in. Drop
Oh,
in.
you're
on-
doing just fine.
Okay. So we're there. So if you take about 70,000 off of that 293, you're down to 223.
oh, I see, you're going reverse, okay.
Okay, that's the way I work it.
I'm going up, you're coming down. All right, now I see where your number came from. Okay.
And, well, we put a lot of money aside for this, about as much as we prudently could, and we're waiting to hear from our community legacy, and we've applied for $171,000 for that. And we don't know what we'll get, but we have applied for that, and
Let's forget the whole thing.
Be wonderful.
I'm trying to think of all the sources, if I got all the sources correct on that. Kathy, have I got that?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the water line itself will cost about $69,719, which the mayor's correct, it already comes out of our enterprise fund for water and sewer.
Right.
The money's already there to pay for that, so then you do have a remainder, that the town's responsible for of $223,683. And again, this number is on the high end with the added, 14.4% and the 8.2%. And our funding sources, we did receive 2 SHA one-time funding grants, one in fiscal year 14 and one in fiscal year 17.
I forgot those two.
One for 56,000 and one for about 67,000. We have a MHAA grant that we just had amended to allow us to use it for the brick on the betterments, and that's 24,000. And the town itself has set aside through several fiscal years about 31,595, which brings us to the total amount we have now is 178,278. So between the 170,000 we applied for with the community legacy grant and the option to make any budget transfers, we do have the money set aside to pay for the project.
Very good, thank
And
you.
hopefully we won't have to do any transfers.
Right, I would like to not. The budget transfers should be the last resort.
Okay. And speaking to the board on that issue, should there be a need for that, there would be, and it would require an action by this board, provide the balance from general fund, correct?
Will come from your capital improvements fund.
Okay, from our capital improvements fund. Okay, so that's something that we would have to consider even at this time, that should there be some reduction in grant funding or some other source of funding, unbudgeted for, that would be our burden to give consideration to. Does that make sense?
Are there other grants that we could also apply for in case the,
I would think I know that there would be. I can't identify any off the top of my head, but I'm sure, I mean, there's always,
Ms. Sipperly has done very well at searching for grants. We did have one other grant source that we were looking at, so that is an option. But as long as the, community legacy comes through with half of what we've applied for, we are okay. And the one budget item we would take it from would be, there wouldn't be an issue with it, but I would like to not. I'd rather save that for a rainy day.
correct, correct. Just to make sure the board's mindful, and trust me, I support this effort, and I think this is a profoundly valid thing that we're doing. But I just want everyone to be mindful that this is part of the decision-making process of what our obligations are, so.
Right.
Okay, great.
So may I ask her a question?
Sure, absolutely, yes, sir.
Kathy, what was the other highway, what did we get this year? We had 55 the year before.
We got 55,896, and then this year we got 66,788.
Okay, but if I,
Phenomenal.
counting everything with the change for that small grant, the 25, that took us to 113. 55 added to that is 168, and if we add 66 to 168, I'm coming up with 234, and we only need like 222. I think we got it.
No,
We're covered. We're
sure, no,
covered.
and I do understand that, but I feel my responsibility here is to make everybody in the board aware that, I can't say that's our perfect world scenario, but it certainly would be a great scenario.
Right.
But should for some reason this not occur, for whatever cause, there's I have to be the doom and gloom guy sometimes.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to make the board aware that we might have to
Dressed in
choose
black.
something, correct. We would have to choose something that might be new to us and a bit of a
Okay,
challenge.
all right.
Okay,
Well, thank you.
sure, yes, sir. Okay, so with
Okay.
these things in mind,
President?
yes, sir.
Sorry, Roy.
Mr. Blanchard.
Remind me, what's the time frame again? I know it's 2017, but like when in 2017?
They're hoping to have the bids back by January of 2017. They're hoping to begin work spring.
Okay,
of
after the freeze and all that good stuff.
Right.
And
They're
I
hoping.
know with concrete and asphalt, all that stuff's got to be done. So
Right.
okay, I just thank you
You're-
for remembering that.
Okay. So, bring it to the board. Ms. Willetts, your hope is tonight that we give consideration to this by vote
Yes.
to accept the MOU, correct?
Yes.
All right. So with that in mind,
I make a motion to accept the memorandum of understanding for the state highway project for state highway administration for the town of Emmitsburg.
very good. The motion's been made by Commissioner Sweeney. Is there a second for this?
I'll second the motion.
Terrific. The motion's been made by Commissioner Sweeney. It's been seconded by Commissioner Blanchard. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Ritz absent. Thank you. Ms. Willis, do you feel that gives you enough direction on this issue?
Yes, sir.
Great, okay, thank you. All right, so we now move forward. Mr. Mayor, did you want to add something?
No, that's it, we're just,
Okay.
agenda.
All right, so we return to our agenda item. We've covered our 3 agenda items. We're now looking for our agenda items related to the November 7th town meeting. One item we have in front of us, sorry, we did have in front of us, relates to something from Ms. Sipperly. Trying to-
Yes, this is related to, it would be a proposed ordinance change based on a recommendation from our town attorney, John Clapp, related to section 8.04 of the code, which deals with abandoned property.
Yes, okay. So, is everybody comfortable with discussing an abandoned property ordinance modification? Is that correct? Is that the be-
Amendment 2.
Okay, abandoned property amendment for consideration, not just discussion?
You could do discussion and
Okay.
possible consideration.
Fair enough. So for discussion and possible consideration. All right. Are there other items for the November 7th?
I have a list, and you can narrow it down if you'd like, if it becomes too lengthy. We do need to bring back your, not your, but the EOT Lagoon proposal
Yes, okay.
for final consideration.
That was voted on. What-
No.
Okay.
For administrative business, I have a proclamation, which is simply a proclamation that you make November Maryland Municipal Works Month, and that's for MML.
Okay.
The mayor and I would like to propose some changes to the employee handbook based on recommendations from our HR consultant. And they're basically related to new hires, the amount of leave they can carry, and what they are paid out at time of separation of employment.
Okay. So employee handbook modifications for consideration?
Yes.
Sorry, employee handbook modifications related to leave and retirement, is that correct? Or end of service?
You could just leave it as employee handbook modifications related to employee benefits, because they are benefits.
Okay. All right.
I should have for you a pool renovation contract related to the grant we received to do the rehab and renovation to the pool.
Oh, Joey bid it out?
Yes.
Great, okay. Pictures, if we could have, that would be helpful too, just like what gets repaired or whatnot.
Pictures of the pool?
Sure, like
Okay.
errors, problems. Just everyone loves visuals.
For discussion, I would like to bring, the mayor and I would like to bring the Park Pavilion deposit, a non-refundable deposit.
Okay,
And just so you know, I have sent that to Commissioner Ritz to take to his Parks Committee in November as well. I'd
Okay,
like this just for discussion only.
okay, would this,
Is that the $125 that we pay for the bathroom and the pavilion?
Right. Staff has done some research. over what other municipalities and towns have done for their parks and their pavilions and the fees that they charge related to it.
Okay.
And I will let you know, we are the only town that gives you all your money back.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Okay, so a user fee part,
Right.
okay. Okay, any other items I'm afraid to ask? That brings us
I know.
to
This one can wait.
6, I believe.
I have one too.
Okay,
I have,
I'll take a recommendation. What would you like to do about the dog park location? We have the grant funding. We had a new proposed location, which we provided to, I believe, all of you. It's been posted on our website for any public comment or concern, and we didn't receive anything. I forwarded it to Commissioner Ritz. We have the grant money. I don't want to see us lose the grant money.
Sure. What's our sunset on that grant? Do we know offhand?
They
Like it-
usually start calling within a year
Okay,
of you being awarded the funding, which would be about spring of next year.
okay, all right.
We can
As a-
table that.
I think put that on December, I probably.
I think that would be appropriate for December
Okay.
because I think partially there needs to be an outreach to the neighborhood again, just because it's adjoining and they've been along for the ride this far. We should bring them in.
I believe it was sent to them, but I can't confirm for sure.
Sure. And when I've looked at that location, I found the map not confusing necessarily, but not entirely clear. Like if it could be posted online to show this is the proposed site for the dog park, as opposed to, it seems vague in language.
Okay.
So if we could go in that direction, or this is the site being considered for the dog park, as opposed to proposed. So we're not as far as a proposal yet, I think. Maybe we are, but,
Mr. President,
yes, sir.
Elizabeth's gonna need a copy of that. She didn't get any information on the dog park.
Okay,
She needs a picture of it, and where the new location will be and
okay.
all that stuff.
It will not be on your yard, don't worry. Okay. Correct, Mr. Mayor? Okay, Mr. Mayor, I have, an item to consider, and I'll bring this to the board also. Park Pavilion, is there any pressing, is someone asking about the Park Pavilion that we need to address it for? Like, do we want to get this in time for the Waddle Waddle? Is that part of the concern, or?
That
We-
should,
Go ahead.
Okay,
We wanted to have it done by the first of the year because typically we start,
December.
people come in and start reserving it the first
Okay.
part of the year for events you wouldn't believe, June, July, and August.
and that's,
but sort of make it retroactive to when we start discussing it. We don't want to landslide the last week
Sure.
of December.
okay, all right, I understand. Anybody else have any thoughts, Mr. Sweeney?
I'd say we can do that December meeting too, because that'll be two things,
Dog Park
the dog park and the.
and the pavilion fee?
I do have one thing that's gotta go on this agenda
have two
though.
Okay. Ms. Buckman?
well, I had my Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, and they would like to change our meetings dates to monthly. So I'd like to put that on there. And also Jenny Joy would like to join the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Okay.
That could go on consent agenda, correct?
For,
New
Miss
member?
Joy, yes, she could go on the consent agenda. The citizen advisory change to the meetings would have to be an ordinance change.
okay. Now, here's something that I'm wondering about regarding Citizens Advisory. We're obligated to have how many meetings per year? Four? One per
Four.
quarter, is that
You could
correct?
have more than that.
But doesn't the board member liaison have the option to also add meetings at their own discretion?
They have the option to add special or emergency meetings by giving their members 48 hours notice.
Okay. Would you want to just leave it at that, so you can just say, remind them 48 hours prior for a special meeting as opposed to a charter required meeting? Does that make sense? I mean, you certainly could have monthly
Doing
meetings.
that, could I still have it like the third Tuesday of every month? I mean, or does that sort of mess things up?
I don't know
All-
if there's a conflict.
need
I
to
mean,
change-
all meetings are, all the committee meetings, all are scheduled for the third Tuesday of each month. I think it's the better practice to keep that
Yeah.
part of the
Right.
code. I mean, the problem with changing the code to now the Citizens Advisory meeting meets once a month, 5 years, 6 years down the road, if Ms. Buckman, Commissioner Buckman isn't in charge of that committee and you have another commissioner comes
Sure.
in and is like,
That's fine. I give them more than a week's notice of meetings, so we'll just do it like that informally.
But here's my thought. If I could suggest, keep it align with the ordinance as they exist for your quarterly meetings, which are the required meetings, but have the latitude beyond Tuesdays, I would suggest. Like have it, when it's not the quarterly meeting, have it perhaps on a Wednesday. I mean, are you trying to get it so everybody has a consistent date when they
Yeah.
can meet for the month?
And I need that as well.
Sure, okay. So perhaps choose another weeknight that would be appropriate for you, because there are other committees that meet on other Tuesdays, isn't it?
I
Like
see.
every
Right.
Tuesday?
Correct.
So, for example,
We meet on
But if
Mondays,
we're
so
always on the 3rd.
right, the planning and zoning will meet and
last
so on.
Monday.
Okay, so, on the last Monday, so that's the fourth Monday.
Parks
Okay.
Committee meets on the third Tuesday as well.
Okay,
Oh,
so as a thought, maybe just like a Wednesday evening or a Thursday evening. Thursday might be tough, but
Wednesdays though.
Tuesday, Wednesday, when, whatever you see fit, but just give that information to town staff,
Okay.
like when you set it up
But
for your.
it can't be
for-
the 3rd Tuesday of every month, because another committee will meet on one of those months.
No, they're on a quarterly too.
They're quarterly, but, well, you could meet at a different location, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
So we
depending
can
on
meet
your
in this
numbers.
back
Sure, you can
room or whatever.
move
Yeah,
the
then
board,
that's fine.
the table room, or
More than one
in
day.
here or wherever.
Yeah, yeah.
But understand that that would be a special meeting versus the required quarterly meeting.
Right.
But you're still absolutely allowed to do that.
Okay.
I mean,
Then
let-
that,
let
then
noth-
let's not put that
Right.
on the.
So let
agenda.
nothing stop you from that, you know?
Right. Okay.
Fine. But I want to give her one this too. Through the years I've been here, we used to be monthly, but and then you tend to run out of stuff to talk about when you have it month to month to month, and that's why we made it quarterly so you could.
Well, we can meet and say we probably don't need to meet next month.
Right.
That's
We'll
correct,
just-
and I just wanted to let you know that's why
Yeah.
we made it quarterly because we ran out of stuff.
Just make sure you do hold your actual meetings.
We will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Any administrative business items to bring up?
I have.
Mr.
I
Sweeney,
don't know if mine can go on administrative business or can it go on.
parking meters?
Yeah, I want to do the holiday parking. We need to do that because we only have one more meeting left.
Okay,
Oh, you're right.
so we want to do that.
Set the dates for your holiday
Yeah.
parking.
Okay, so let's do that in November.
Yep.
And would that be administrative business, or do we need to vote to determine the application of
I'd
the
make it
funds?
an agenda item. 'Cause
Okay,
You're gonna have to take an official vote.
okay, related to the money, okay.
Well, and then also, then I would like, we're going to plan on using, the money that's put into the meters that we would like to go to, 50% of it for Community Day, fireworks expense, and 50% to the food bank for the month of December.
Okay, so 2 items, bringing our total to,
Whatever's taken in, if we get $100 in the month of December, then $50 would go to both of them.
So you want me to bring park back in December?
Yes.
that would be a happy thought. But, Mr. Mayor, do you really want that before the Waddle Waddle? Is that what your concern was?
I believe they've already reserved it anyway.
So they're done, all right, great, okay,
I just
so-
would like to see it in place by January 1.
That's what we're-
Absolutely, okay, great. So, yes, please, for December, if that's
Okay.
okay with the board?
And the
Okay,
dog
so
park,
be it.
December.
Okay. One administrative item, business item. I would like to come back with some proposed dates for trail maintenance days for January, just to set up volunteer days for, excuse me, for next year, pardon me, 2017.
Okay. Good.
And that'd be it?
I'll
Okay.
do it.
You want that
So-
under admin?
Yes, please. I mean, I know we're gonna have some leaf blowers out there this coming Sunday, but I'd like to follow with some other items also. Okay, so, Mr. Briggs, any other comments? No, okay.
Can you,
Yes, ma'am.
can you clarify all the agenda items for record purposes, please?
Sure, okay, if I understand it correctly, the agenda items relate to, or the agenda items for the November 7th, 2016 town meeting are, abandoned property amendment and discussion. Abandoned property, related to abandoned property amendment, discussion and possible action item. Okay. Second agenda item for November 7th is the EOT Lagoon proposal for consideration. Okay. Third item is employee handbook modification related to employee benefits. Fourth item is pool renovation contract and presentation, or presentation and contract for consideration. Fifth item is regarding holiday parking meter suspension dates, correct?
And appropriate,
And 6 would be parking meter fee usage for the month of December.
we forgot one.
Okay. We forgot the park, we've relocated the
ML.
park pavilion.
Oh, MML.
Oh,
Proclamation.
That's
well,
admin.
that's administrative business
Oh,
though.
okay.
Yep. So, but
Sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Okay. So administrative business would be the MML Works proclamation for administrative business. For administrative business, we have Trail Workday proposal. For consent agenda, we have consideration of Mrs. Jenny Joy for Citizens Advisory Committee membership. And moving to December, we have agenda item for considering for that agenda, the Park Pavilion deposit and the dog park
Location.
So far.
proposal.
Far.
Right.
So far, yes. 7 more coming.
I will have more.
Okay, we can only hope. Okay, so does that satisfy the needs for the record?
Long meeting?
Yes.
No, these are quickly.
Yes.
Okay.
These should be
All right,
short.
Mr. Mayor? All right. So these things having been said, any final comments from our commissioners?
I have one, just
Or staff.
a, I know.
Don't forget the holidays.
I'm sorry. There may be a need for a closed session following the November 7th meeting to discuss the wastewater treatment plant and the 20-inch ductile iron pipe,
You had to fix-
results of our meeting and some ongoing discussions.
Okay,
I will have more information as the week goes by.
great. Okay,
I will send an email if there's a need for it.
okay.
So it's a sleepover.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yeah, I wanted to remind everybody, Halloween is Monday,
Yes.
and we have trick or treat going on from 5:30 to 6:30, and then we have the parade to be going on at 7. But the preparation for the parade will be from 6:30 to 7 at DePaul Street for all the kids and grown-ups who are going to be in the parade. And then after the parade will go from DePaul Street to North Seaton to South Seaton, and I think it's School Lane where Paul's Pit Stop is. They'll turn in there and go up the alley, which is School Lane.
We're hoping those streetlights will be
Put back in place.
finished by then. I was told they would be.
Just for clarification, what's occurred with the streetlights in the first place?
When State Highway did the sidewalk renovation repair, those streetlights were never brought up for ADA purposes.
Oh,
They were
okay.
left sitting where they are, filled with gravel,
Yes.
which made them non-ADA compliant.
Compliant,
So
okay.
they had to, staff had to take down the light poles, they had to put in some additional wiring and concrete.
Okay. Great. All right, well, that's good that we're moving forward on ADA compliance. There's no argument about that whatsoever.
We're making them brighter.
Yeah, right, a better throw of light. Okay, so a reminder, Monday night will be Halloween. As always, I invite anybody watching to please submit wonderful photographs of our little guys. I always describe Emmitsburg on Halloween as like Mardi Gras in miniature, you know? So if we can get the photographs of the little guys and get them, into the town office for our website, that'd be nice.
And there's a block party at the fire hall after the parade.
And be safe,
Everyone in town's invited.
and be safe driving Monday night, please, with all the
Mr.
little
Mayor,
guys
you're
out
going to
there.
be handing out the prizes, correct?
Yes, I will.
Ooh, Mr. Mayor. And please be safe driving with our little guys out when they are out. With that having been said, any other items? Mr. Mayor, no speech?
So we're good.
Good night. The town meeting.